The Ukraine-Russia war has every country's attention. Everyone is trying to help Ukraine in its own resourceful way. Where some countries, like the USA, banned their big streaming platforms like Netflix in the Russian market, some are providing defense weapons. Germany is one of those countries that helps Ukraine with its lightweight and portable anti-tank rocket launchers manufactured at a factory in Germany owned by Israel's Rafael. In this video, we'll look at the Panzerfaust III, a German anti-tank missile that Ukraine employs against Russian tanks. Manufacturing of the Panzerfaust. Anti-tank rocket launchers made in Germany by Israel's Rafael Advanced Defense Systems are being supplied to Ukraine by Germany and the Netherlands. The Germans and Dutch did not need Israeli approval for the weapons transfer because Germany funded the development of the Panzerfaust III bazooka before Rafael bought the plant. The weapons are made at the Dynamit Noble AG plant in Burbach, which is located north of Frankfurt. Rafael purchased the plant in 2004. Following Russia's military invasion of Ukraine, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz's government approved the German army's transfer of 1,000 Panzerfaust anti-tank rocket launchers. Ukraine will receive 200 Stinger air defense rockets and 50 Panzerfaust III anti-tank weapons with 400 rockets from the Netherlands. The transfer has been approved by the German government. In February of last year, the German army signed a contract with Dynamit Noble Defense, a subsidiary of Rafael, for the production and delivery of 3,000 rockets for the Panzerfaust III. In order to assist Ukraine in fighting back against Russian forces, Germany has reversed its long-standing policy of prohibiting weapons exports to conflict zones. Improved Panzerfaust III anti-tank rocket launchers remain among the world's most capable anti-tank rocket launchers. Unlike many anti-tank weapons, the Panzerfaust III can be fired from a closed area, such as a building room, without harming those inside with the backblast of the rocket. Many pictures and videos have circulated on social media indicating that the Panzerfaust III has hit some Russian tanks, implying that it plays an important role for the Ukrainians in their fight against Russian invaders. What is the Panzerfaust III? The Panzerfaust III is a modern single-use, recoilless anti-tank weapon that was designed and developed by Dynamit Noble AG between 1978 and 1985, tested in 1986, and deployed by the Bundeswehr West German Infantry in 1992. The Panzerfaust III was created to combat the latest Soviet main battle tanks, the T-72 and the T-80. It was one of the highest-performing weapons in its class at the time of its introduction. This one is a modernized version of the Panzerfaust from World War II, and its shape-charged warheads allow soldiers to penetrate all types of tank armor. The Panzerfaust III is known for its small, light design, which allows a single infantryman to fire it. The controls, including the pistol grip, were designed to be easily handled from any position, and the ergonomics follow a predefined standard. The launch tube's barrel is 60 millimeters in diameter, while the oversized rocket is 110 millimeters. The firing device is 2.3 kilograms in weight. In firing mode, the launcher is 1.35 meters long with the probe extended, and 1.23 meters long with the probe retracted. The Panzerfaust III has a single-use tube with 110mm DM-12 or DM-12A1 high-explosive anti-tank warhead. The controls, including the pistol grip, were designed to be easily handled from all positions, and the ergonomics follow a predefined standard. During testing, the Panzerfaust III was able to penetrate the T-72 tank's front armor and even punch a hole in the turret. The warhead has a safety mechanism that arms after a 5-meter flight and detonates on impact or when the propellant runs out. History of Panzerfaust and its use during the Second World War. The Panzerfaust, a disposable, preloaded launcher that fired high-explosive anti-tank, was used by the German army during the Second World War. Because of its small size and lack of recoil, it could be used by a single infantryman. In 1943, the Panzerfaust was introduced. It was inexpensive to make and reasonably effective, with the ability to pierce armor up to 8 inches thick. However, because of its limited range, it was better suited to urban combat rather than frontline combat. Around 6.7 million Panzerfausts were produced by the end of the war. Isn't that thrilling? The Bundeswehr put the Panzerfaust III into service in 1987. The weapon was not officially adopted by the Germans until 1992. Japan was the company's first international customer in 1989, followed 2 years later by Switzerland, South Korea, Peru, Austria, Iraq, the Netherlands, Germany, Belgium, Italy, and Mauritius. The weapon was tested by U.S. Special Forces, but the decision was made not to pursue it. The PZF-3 saw service after its development during the Cold War, with armies using it in the Iraq Civil War, the Afghan War, the Syrian Civil War, and, most recently, the Russo-Ukrainian War. The development of the Panzerfaust in West Germany. All troops of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Germany were tasked with fighting armored vehicles and tanks after the Bundeswehr was formed in 1956. They used the Lichte Panzerfaust 44M Lanze launcher and the Carl Gustaf 84mm recoilless rifle to accomplish this. The PZF-44 was a recoilless anti-tank rocket launcher that was fired from the shoulder, while the Carl Gustaf 84mm was an anti-tank weapon. They were the go-to due to their portability, but they both had flaws. With the production of reactive and active armors on combat vehicles in 1973, there was a call for a more effective weapon. Member countries of the Warsaw Pact realized they needed to develop more effective technologies that could not only pierce through these new types of armor, but also work at long ranges. Dynamit Noble AG began designing and developing what would later be known as the Panzerfaust or PZF-3 in 1978. It was first put to the test in 1986. Panzerfaust III specifications. The Panzerfaust III is known for its small, light design which allows a single infantryman to fire it. The controls, including the pistol grip, were designed to be easily handled from any position, and the ergonomics follow a predefined standard. The PZF-3 has a DM-12 or DM-12A1 disposable canister with a 110mm heat warhead. It could be fired from tight spaces because it didn't have much backblast. Because of the plastic granulate that filled its rear, the recoilless countermass principle was used to reduce the blast effect. Despite being an improvement over the PZF-44 and Carl Gustaf 84mm, the PZF-3 was not without flaws. It was overly cumbersome and the firing mechanism was prone to jamming, according to infantrymen. In addition, it could only fire one shot at a time and was ineffective against heavy and new armor variants. The variants of the Panzerfaust over the years. The PZF-3T was the first of many Panzerfaust III variants produced over the decades. It was developed in the late 1990s and was a significant improvement over the original. It was the first warhead to use a dual hollow charge 3T tandem heat warhead with an explosive charge in its spike. This allowed a second warhead to damage a tank's primary armor by piercing explosive reactive armor, also known as ERA. It was most effective at 300 meters against moving targets and 400 meters against stationary targets, just like the original PZF-3. Other variants of the PZF-3T followed. The PZF-3 T600 and the PZF-3 IT were two of the most effective, with the latter being able to defeat heavily armored tanks with ERA. The PZF-3 IT600, the latest variant, has a Dynarange fire control unit that aids in sighting and targeting and can travel up to 600 meters. The PZF-3 3LR, which has an 800-meter range and can penetrate 700 millimeters of armor, and the Bunkerfaust, an anti-structure version designed for urban combat, are two notable variants. We hope you learned something new from our video. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to share the knowledge with your friends. To watch more videos like this, subscribe to our channel. See you in our next video.